Have you ever questioned the nature of your reality? I grew up in upstate New York. Of course, I know how we all think of New York. A young, fresh-faced girl arriving at Newark with $45 in her pocket, ready to star on Broadway. Of course, she gets a shitty waitressing job, but only temporarily until she really makes it. And we all know the cliche. She never makes it. Have you ever noticed there's a multitude of these films written, and that in real life there's a multitude of girls ready to play the roles? Have you ever wondered, are the films based on the girls, or do the girls base their lives on the films? But no, I didn't grow up in the city. I grew up in Chappaqua, land of the soccer moms and the wealthy hedge fund dads, the land of lush greenery, rolling hills of snow, and the freshest tap water in the US. I mean, really, you don't even have to run it through the Brita. In upstate New York, I was a girl with 4 sisters and 1 brother. The girls did the girly things, the boys did the manly things. And I never questioned the nature of my reality. I remember when my sister got her ears pierced. In my family, the girls had to wait until they were 15 to get their ears pierced. My parents are Catholic, conservative. They have arbitrary ideas about things. Of course, my brother had to wait until never to get his ears pierced for fear of looking ghetto or worse, gay. So all the girls drive to town. I remember asking my brother to come, but he was sleeping. And I remember looking at the chandeliers on the ceiling and thinking, what are they selling? Is it beauty? A certain kind of elegance? Of pomp and circumstance fit for a southern debutante? Is she the man, the epitome of our society? And then I watched them shoot holes in the ears of my sister. And I realized they're selling us holes in ourselves. They're taking pieces of ourselves with these pieces of the earth's mantle that have been pressurized and polished to sparkle. When they lay on our necks, they burn a hole through. When a lady attends a ball, on the arm of her man with a neck full of glittering jewels, she might as well be wearing a leash and a collar. For this is what men have been using for centuries to prevent us from questioning the nature of our reality. Sparkly things. And that is why they don't wear them. I remember seeing the Rockettes in New York City, and I remember thinking they were oh so sparkly. But you know what else I remember seeing? They were all perfectly synchronized. Every detail, from head to toe, tip to fingertip, to the way they spun, was in perfect accord. It was almost as if they were a bunch of fluid, flexible robots. Do you think they ever question the nature of their reality? Are they girls pretending to be robots? Or are they robots pretending to be girls? The sparkles are the bullets. They distract us, like hypnosis, from the shorter straw we've drawn, because they are the ones with the power. No matter how beautiful we are, we're not the ones with the power. We're not the director or the choreographer. We're the ones that are doing the dance that we've been taught. I remember watching my brother and his friends playing football. Their dance was not choreographed. Every move they made, every decision was up to them. their rules, their plays. And it's no coincidence that football is a game of violence. The act of making your own choices is an act of violence. Every action creates an equal and opposite reaction. And for all our lives, all women have been doing is reacting to the things that have been given to us, to the things that have been done to us. We've been on the defense. We've never been on the offense. I don't need to chronicle the history of oppression. You all know what's happened to women and what's happened to those that are other than white men. You all know the stories, but I want to bring you down to an individual level. I want to tell you about my childhood. And let me tell you, in this game, we have been letting through way too many touchdowns.
Starting the second quarter, Chappius uncorks a spot pass to left-hand man, good for 16 yards. A reverse from Jurgis to Elliott punches the ball to the Trojan 7. Jurgis is in on the next play, too, as he receives a quick pass from Chappius.
There's a reason that football has a certain stereotype. What's really ironic is that it's played over Thanksgiving. You know, the holiday where you get together with your family to, eat food and give thanks for this beautiful land and your beautiful bond. It's a good thing politics have never been divisive in this country. Yes, you're enjoying the time with your mom and your dad and your drunk Aunt Jen. And what's going on in the background? A male-dominated, violent sport. And a game of triumph through aggression. A pretty accurate metaphor for the first Thanksgiving, eh? Really, pretty accurate metaphor for the country as a whole. Do you see how it would be an act of violence for a girl to try to get in and play football? Of course, Thanksgiving is also about the food. There's dishes and dishes of beans and greens and tomatoes and potatoes and chicken. The table is all decorated straight out of a Pinterest board, thanks to $300 dropped at Hobby Lobby. And for those precious few moments, you are living the American dream. You're in Chappaqua, upstate New York, with gorgeous weather out your front window. You have a plate full of sweet potatoes. Life is beautiful. But for that gorgeous meal, there is pounds of blood and sweat and tears that go into it. And you know who loses that blood and sweats that sweat and cries those tears? I do. It's the women. Hours upon hours of cooking and cleaning up the cooking and doing the dishes and decorating and entertaining. It all goes with the dinner. And you know what the men are doing during that time? They're either playing football, watching football, talking about football, or thinking about football. And then, once they're tired from doing that and from all the tryptophan from the turkey in their little man brains, they fall asleep. And yet no one for years has questioned the nature of this reality. Thanksgiving was created by a woman named Sarah Josepha Hale. She wrote letters to 5 United States presidents to convince them to make Thanksgiving a federal holiday. It finally worked with Lincoln. She was also an editress of a ladies' magazine in which she hoped to educate women, and I quote, "Not that they may usurp the situation or encroach on the prerogatives of man, but that each individual may lend her aid to the intellectual and moral character of those within her sphere." Wikipedia tells us that the nice Mrs. Hale did not support women's suffrage. She instead believed in the secret, silent influence of women to sway male voters. Mrs. Hale, although I'm sure you had the best of intentions, you never questioned the nature of your reality. I have. I remember when my sisters went to go get their eyebrows threaded. Threaded is a nice way of saying ripping the top layer of your face off. It was that day that I realized the cliche that beauty is pain is true. And it's not only that, but beauty is violence. It's ripping off our hair and often our skin. It's walking around in uncomfortable heels for hours. It's starving yourself to look like a Victoria's Secret angel. Let me tell you something. There's nothing angelic about an eating disorder. In other cultures, it's the same, or worse, as in America. Foot binding in China, female circumcision in Africa, and the list goes on and on. All of this to be beautiful and to be virtuous and to attract men. And no one questions the nature of this reality. Female beautification is even viewed as normal, a rite of passage, a way of bonding between the females of the species. Those who question these things are labeled radical feminists and man-haters. Conventional men are disgusted by them. Of course, there are reasons for that. First, you challenge ripping off your armpit hair, and then you challenge the entire system of women being subservient towards men's desires. It's a slippery slope, and it's one that men don't even want to take a step down. I fell all the way down that slope. At first, I questioned the nature of myself physically. I wondered how I ended up with this blonde hair and blue eyes. I mean, I know that recessive genes are a thing, but come on. And then I ordered a 23andMe kit and I discovered I was adopted. This was very liberating to me. All my life, I hated standing in the shadow of my own family. I hated being subservient to the men, but I didn't have a choice. They created me. I am who they are. When I realized the truth, I was free to define my own future. Their blood is not my blood. Their truth is not my truth. So I applied to law school. I graduated summa cum laude. My adopted parents were proud, but, you know, they kept wondering when I was finally gonna settle down and have a family. I told them that was no longer my reality. Of course, they couldn't understand. My life didn't look like anything to them. Eventually, I became the first female and the youngest president of the United States. Let's just say I was called every slur on the book during my campaign, and that dumb blonde was the best of them. Of course, I've played along with some of their little games. I still follow the standards of conventional beauty. I go to balls, I go to state dinners, and I let them think that I'm not in the process of burning their patriarchy to the ground. That's the best way to deal with men. Let them think that they're in control. One day they'll wake up and realize that somehow we switched clothes in the night. I'm wearing the pants, and he's wearing the jewelry. And he didn't notice because he was too busy playing football. The holes in my body and my soul have healed. Women across America are now the investment bankers, and the aerospace engineers, and the politicians. It's a very different world, and I no longer must question its nature. This is my new reality. Oh my gosh, that was so fun. We should definitely clean up the room before Mr. President gets in here though, guys. Like, seriously. Oh my God. Can't even get this on. Can you imagine if that was real?